And what a great show we have today. That's right. We have on our show Mark Thompson with the Mark and Brian Morning Show. I am a big, big fan, and we're so excited to have Mark part of our show today. It's just exciting. Thank you for joining us today, Mark.
Thank you for asking. Having a good time.
Very cool. And I had to throw a shout-out for your previous neighbors. The owner of the radio station here at KHTS, Carl and Jerry, want to say hi.
Hello to Carl and Jerry. They were neighbors for many, many years.
Very cool. And now we get to sit with them in the booth every week.
Do we have any stories on them?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of time, my son is a drummer. He's about to graduate from college with his degree in that, and he would practice 6 to 8 hours a day with about 50 yards away from their home. Periodically, somebody would call the cops. I'm still not to this day convinced that it wasn't them.
Nice.
Maybe it was Linda.
That's pretty funny, Paul.
Actually, that brings us to another thing that we were discussing is, sometimes on the radio you share a lot about your personal life, and at times it can be, most recently we were talking about, we always talk about Don's age. We definitely try to bring up my weight the least amount possible. And, just 2 minutes ago we were talking about my wife's arms. So did you ever feel that you shared a little too much about your family during the show?
Or did your family feel that way?
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I'm very open about that. One of the things about my particular broadcasting career is that I am very open about that kind of stuff because I think people who listen to the program, they want to get to know you. And these personal stories are really the only way that you can do that and at the same time convey that you're a normal, average human being that deals with the same thing that the people listening to the program deal with. And yes, there have been times when I went too far and a family member would pull me to the side, primarily Linda, and would say, that crossed the line as far as I'm concerned. So over the years, I kind of learned where I could go and I couldn't go. But yes, it doesn't happen that often anymore, but I have crossed the line.
Well, thank you for that, by the way. It was always fun. I don't know how often we hear the phone ring, and it was Linda at the other end going, "You told them what?" That was not supposed to be shared on the air.
Well, I will tell you that Linda's very tolerant with that kind of stuff. She's been a radio wife. In fact, she's listening right now. Hello, Linda. She's been a really good radio wife for 30 years, and she fully understands what it is that I do on a daily basis and has been very tolerant of that. But as I said, periodically I would cross the line.
Well, we're big fans of Linda, too, because she did enable you to share your life. And I have to say, as a big, big fan, my wife and I, Cindy, as huge, huge fans, it did bring us closer to you, and it did make us feel that you're just one of us bumbling around, dealing with life on a regular basis, dealing with families, dealing with, wife and life. And we thank you for that because it did make us feel like we know you.
Well, thank you. And I like I say, as a kid growing up listening to the radio and loving who it was that I was listening to, the music was always fine and the various entities that I enjoyed about the radio station, but it was that jock that I listened to that I felt connected to, and I learned from listening to them and then a 45-year broadcasting career that quite literally as a broadcaster, that's all we have to share is who we actually are. So I'm very open. I will always be very open about that because I am just a rambling idiot hoping to get by until the next day.
So if you just tuned in wondering who this rambling idiot is on the show, it's not Don Goettling or Gino Fronti for once. It's actually Mark Thompson with the Mark and Brian Morning Show, and he's sharing his life and his what's happened with him on the show over 25 years, his change in his life and everything. And I know Paul Gonzalez, who's with us from Troop, you have a good question for him.
Yeah, Mark, I was wondering, what are your plans in the future? I know that you had taken some time. You had written Mother Ghost. You had done some writing. Are you going to continue to follow those passions?
I am. That is one of the main things that I'm going to do. I did, as you said, I made 2 movies in my tenure with the Mark and Brian program, just side projects, hobbies, things that I did. Both movies wound up doing very well for me. I write and I act, and I produced these 2 films. The radio program prevented me from going out for feature film or dramatic television because in that world you have to be in the makeup chair at 6 in the morning, and I had to be in the radio chair. The only thing that I could ever go out for was sitcom, because in that world they begin at 10 o'clock in the morning. And even though I'm not a sitcom-y kind of actor, I did get a couple of high-profile things, none bigger than I was on 4 episodes of Reba McEntire's sitcom Reba as her boyfriend.
That's right.
And so, yes, that is one of the things that I'm going to be adamantly involved in. I've recently been introduced to someone who has a like interest of mine. I'm not really prepared to get into it right now, but I'm quite excited about the possibility there. And then there's another situation. I hate to bring stuff up that I can't really talk about, but I have a broadcast situation that I'm going to be involved in that I will be glad to call you back and share with when it's time to be talked about.
Very cool. And if you just tuned in, we're speaking with Mark Thompson, the Mark and Brian morning show, and he's sharing some new information. I didn't know you had some other broadcasting stuff, so we'll definitely get you back on to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing us a justice for real estate. Just so you know, Brian, we're part of the Real Estate Radio Network. It's a nationally recognized conglomeration of lenders and real estate professionals and financial professionals trying to help rebuild the real estate market. So we thank you for being part of our show, because it adds a lot of credibility and fun.
My pleasure.
So speaking of fun, we have to ask this question, because I know you out there want to know stuff like this. Mark, can you share with us on the air, I can't wait to hear this, what was maybe some of your most embarrassing moments, or the most embarrassing moment being on the air?
Embarrassing moments being on the air. God, there's so many.
I know
a book on that.
Yeah,
one,
I know
huh?
we got already enough blooper reels already after just our time.
Boy, I stopped caring about embarrassing myself on the air long ago, because I am an idiot. Let's see. Embarrassing. What comes to mind? Honestly, there are so many. Probably the time that we were speaking with Jackie Slater, who used to be an offensive lineman with the Los Angeles Rams. And this was early on in our broadcasting career. And I had quite literally watched the Rams game from the day before, and we're talking to him. And Jackie Slater was a guy who, he was 375 pounds, a huge, huge guy. And when you looked at him close up on the television, he looked like he was literally pouring out of his helmet, like his helmet was custom made and grown on his head. And I made that comment to him, like, what, did they strap that helmet on you when you were a kid and you grew into it? And there was this long, awkward pause, and then he said in a deep, guttural voice, "You're a funny man." And even though we were on the phone, it scared me.
Yeah, he threatened to eat you.
Yeah, I was scarred for life. In fact, I frightened myself as I told the story.
Oh, that's good stuff. And I know you have so many great experiences, and I don't know what we're going to do without you in the morning, because seriously, you should be so proud that you've touched so many people. And I know you're seeing it in the emails you're getting and the phone calls and the reach out. But I know all of us here, and my wife and all our friends, want to thank you for all you've given us over the last few years and being a part of our show today, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're kind. I will tell you one of the things that I am very proud of, and you guys being broadcasters, you would know. I walk away from the program with it still vibrant, the ratings still high. 25 years he and I spent on one set of call letters. We never had to cross town, in the second most competitive market in morning radio in the entire nation. And that's 25 years. I will always be so very proud of that part of my career.
And as you should be, Mark, and we're proud to be part of it. So can we get you back to talk more about your broadcasting opportunities and other opportunities you're taking on in the future?
Absolutely. I've worked on it daily. In fact, I was working on it the moment that the interview came up. I will be more than happy to share that with you when the time comes. and I'm excited to share it with you. It's something I think you and all of your listeners can enjoy.
Thank you, Mark. That's Mark Thompson with the Mark and Brian Morning Show. Thank you for being part of our show today, Mark. What a pleasure.
Thank you for the invitation. Let's do it again.
All right, we'll reconnect. Thanks. And
The
thank
best.
you for being part of our show today. Thank you, Paul Gonzalez, for being part of our show today.
Hey, thanks for picking today.
Way to make Troop Realty look so good, buddy.